advice. And always do your best to remember that no matter what you do in this life,
Thank you.
what matters to me is that you keep doing. I love you always, Mom. Inspire kids to do at 4h.org.
Welcome to Fight for Life, a pro-life radio show discussing the ministry of First Choice Pregnancy Services here in Las Vegas. I'm Deborah, board member and executive director of First Choice Pregnancy Services.
And I'm Jessica, logistics specialist at First Choice Pregnancy Services.
We are ambassadors for the unborn. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, friends. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Deborah here with Jessica, ambassadors on behalf of the babies, here to share insights and real-life stories in the fight for the unborn. Today we have some special people with us. If you've been following the show for a while, you heard that they made a grand entrance here. Last year, they surprised us and met us at the show door when we were done with our show. And now they are here to sit and join us for a conversation today. We have Pastor Scott and his wife Kim from Desert Hills Baptist. I'm going to let Jess give you the weekly update, and then we'll dive in.
Hello, everyone. This is Jessica bringing you that weekly update from September 15th through September 21st, 2022. The supporters of First Choice Pregnancy Services helped to provide 83 free pregnancy tests and 62 free ultrasounds to the women of the Las Vegas community. Now, that is 16 more ultrasounds than what we did last week. That's amazing. So many of these women are abortion bound, and some are even under the impression that they've walked into an abortion clinic to have their abortion. So thank you for helping to save babies from death through abortion and for speaking up for the voiceless, as Proverbs 31 says that we ought to. If you're listening while we're live and you have a question that you'd like to ask, please call into the show, 702-650-5588, to have our station manager, Alyssa or Sunny, put you on the air. This broadcast is sponsored by Desert Hills Baptist Church.
And they're in the house.
If sponsoring Fight for Life Radio sounds like something that you would be interested in doing too, call Alyssa or Sunny directly to make arrangements and ask about the sponsorship packages that they've made available to you so generously by KKVV. If you've missed last week's broadcast, you can watch it on our Facebook page, FCPS Friends. And while you're there, like us, follow us, and share. You can also follow us on YouTube at FCPS Friends and on Instagram and Twitter at FCPS_friends. If you're watching online, go ahead and interact with us, and we will catch up with your comments and questions as they come in. Deb, back to you.
If we don't run out of time, because we always run out of time.
We always run out of time.
We'll catch you after the show, though. If
They're
you're
trying
online.
to get us to do an hour-long program, so give us your feedback on that.
So, as I said, we have Pastor Scott Hocker and his wife Kim from Desert Hills Baptist Church here in Las Vegas. You guys have heard their name in our show multiple times because they have so kindly and graciously sponsored many of our shows over the months. So we have them here with us today to have some good conversation. Pastor Scott, tell us a little bit about you and Kim and your church.
Okay, I will. Well, thank you for having us. Let me say that first. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of your broadcast. We've been ministering at Desert Hills for going on 20 years now.
Wow.
I became pastor 11 years ago, going on 12. And my wife and I, we met in high school. I always say it like this, that the first year we held hands when we were 16, and the second year I got my first kiss, and then we had our son right out of high school. And we've been together ever since. So it's been a long time. It's been the longest time of her life for sure, but it's been quick for me. We found out about you guys about 3 years ago, when one of our members had volunteered at one of your events. And when she brought me the news of and the information that you had given out, we were just thrilled that there was an organization like you have at First Choice Pregnancy Center. And then when I found out that you were doing a radio station, I thought I really would like to be a part of that, and I want to help any way we can. So we're excited to be here to represent Desert Hills and to glorify the Lord and help you in your fight for life.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing how you first learned about First Choice. What was it that the person that you said was first involved at First Choice and volunteered at one of our events? What is she volunteering with? Do you know?
You know what? I think it was it was specifically to do with the free ultrasounds. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you were going to campuses at the time. That's what I think I want to say. That I remember her name was Cindy, and she said that it was just an excellent program. And she's a mother. She has 2 children. And she just asked me if I would consider maybe taking up a special offering. We don't do that very often at Desert Hills. Mm-hmm. We're not a super duper mega church. Sure. A lot of mega Christians, wonderful people there. But it's a worthy cause, one that we're well acquainted with, as I hope my wife will be able to explain better. But in such, we're just, again, when I found out that you were showing these mothers their children before they're born. I remember when I saw ultrasound of my son in 1989, I thought, that's my boy. It's hard for dads. Yeah. It's hard for dads because we're not the ones who are carrying them. Right. But it's even more important that those moms get to see those babies. So that's really the genesis of everything. Hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
The window into the womb that sonography has provided people is such an incredible thing to witness. I always say I could see a 10-week, 12-week baby on ultrasound screen every day, and the miracle of seeing that does not get old. It's amazing that you can see a human so well hidden within, so clearly. Tell gender, which I don't like when people find out gender. I'm like, it's a surprise. Kim, tell us a little bit about your family. When you guys came in here last time, I think you had your nephew with you, didn't you?
I did. Our grandnephew. I get to watch him, and we've got a grandson, a granddaughter, and then I don't believe we had a grandson at the time. He's now almost 2.
Oh, really?
So we've got 2 grandsons, a granddaughter, and a grandnephew.
And how many kids do you guys just have? The one son?
A son and a daughter.
Oh, you have 2 kids. Okay. So they're both grown?
They are.
Okay.
They are. Don't ask me their ages.
Okay. I don't know. So one of the things that we do at First Choice with our clients is we go into some detail and we educate them on their options of their pregnancy. And one of the options that we do educate on is adoption. And unfortunately, it seems to be the least sought out option that is out there. But for those who were fortunate enough to be involved in that adoption process, they have wonderful stories like Kim's. Kim, can you share some of that?
I can. It was never hidden from me that I was adopted. My mom always shared with me. She had been adopted as well. My grandmother, when my grandfather was in the military, he was off, I don't know if it was World War II or the timeline must be World War II. He was off, and my grandmother found out about a little girl that needed to be adopted, and so she went on her own and just picked up my mom.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
if she hadn't have done that, my mom was very sick, and I don't know if she would have lived or not. And so my mom was very thankful to my grandmother, and when my mom and dad got married, they tried for a very long time to get pregnant, and for some reason my mom could not, and so she went on an adoption list, and they waited 2 years to get my brother, and he's 2 years older than me, and then they went on the list again and waited 2 years for me, and they found out that I was a drug baby, and the doctor had told my mom, we don't know what kind of problems she will have now or in the future, or what kind of problems her children will have. And my mom said that I was her daughter. And so she brought me home, and she told me from the time I was very little that this is my adopted daughter. And it's because she didn't feel any shame about being adopted either. And then 4 years later, she had my brother. And then 18 months later, she had my sister. And then 18 months later, she had my other sister. So God was present there, because if she had just easily had those 3 children, or my brother and sisters, she wouldn't have adopted us.
Wow.
So my brother and sisters used to kind of tease me. I don't know if they teased my older brother. You were adopted. And yes, I was, because my mom got to pick me. And she just was stuck with you guys. But the truth is that I really do feel like I was handpicked, because God put me in that situation.
How old was your mom when she was adopted? Do you know?
2.
Oh, she was little.
She was 2.
So does she remember when her mother adopted her?
I don't know. She was telling me a story about being stuck in a crib, and she was sick, and basically they would feed her by putting a bottle in her mouth, and she wasn't ever held. And so my grandmother actually went to go pick up her brother, because it was a large family and they couldn't take care of the kids. And when she saw my mom, she knew that that's the one that needed to be adopted.
That's an incredible story.
Wow.
You know, as you just said that you were picked. Jessica and I were at an event like 2 weeks ago, and I don't remember what his name was. He's a congressman in Oklahoma. Wayne? Was it Wayne?
Yeah.
He's getting ready to be the U.S. Senator for the state of Oklahoma. And he had a similar story, and that they adopted their first few kids because they had waited for years, I think 7 years. And so, when his kids would try making an issue out of, oh, you're not the biological, he said, oh, they were actually the chosen. And I was like, wow, that's a really special feel to have a kid, to have that comeback from your dad, and it's like, we didn't get to pick you, but we did choose them. That was the first time I heard that. And so yours was very similar. That's awesome.
Excuse me.
I guess you just asked her that question that I was just looking at.
That's okay.
So your mother was adopted. You were adopted.
And how old were you when you were adopted?
Were you adopted as a baby?
I was adopted at birth.
Okay. So did you ever meet your biological mom or family?
I did. I had been looking since I was young, and I signed all the registries, and I had been looking in Las Vegas. I knew that my birth mom had been a teenager as well.
So you were born here?
I was.
Okay.
I was born at Sunrise Hospital. And I was looking at Vegas High School. I was looking at all the high schools that were around in 1970. And when I would sign the registries, I would only look here in Las Vegas, because that's how I thought it worked. What I didn't know, and what I found out, is that whoever's the next on the list, it doesn't matter if it was Hawaii. I would have been born in Hawaii. My birth mom was from Oregon, and since the next person on the list was my parents, she was flown down to Las Vegas. She had it was through the LDS agency, and so she was flown here and to give birth. And then she told me that, and this was in the 70s, she told me that she wasn't even allowed to hold me, and then they sent her back home.
Well, that's incredible, because now they tell you don't be flying at the end of your pregnancy, so they're flying people in to give birth, huh?
Right.
So how old were you when you met her?
This was just about 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
I had been looking since I was 18. And when I had my daughter, I was 24, and I thought, well, I need to really know medical background, because she's a girl, and I need to know if there's anything that's in my medical history that I don't know about for her. And we went to the agency, and my husband and I, and they sat there with this big huge folder, and they said, well, what I can give you is this. And I kept thinking, okay, they're going to leave the room with this big folder so I can look through it, and they never did. And I left kind of feeling deflated, but at least I had a little bit of information. And I was not saved at the time, and I had always felt a little bit of a void, not knowing, and now I know because I'm born again, not knowing that that little bit of a void was the Lord. And I thought at the time I could fill it with my birth mom. And so
just because I don't want to forget this and you're thinking of something, is your brother's mom different from your
yes,
birth
we're
mom?
not related by blood. So we left, and I still continued to kind of search on my own. I signed up on Facebook. It just showed up on my page one day for something called Search Squad, and they had suggested Ancestry.com or Ancestry.
Yeah.
And they even paid for half of the kit because I didn't want to pay a lot of money for it. And I filled it out, and I sent the little paperwork and my sample of my saliva, and the weekend before Mother's Day, it came back with somebody who might be related.
Wow.
And when I, if I'm getting too in detail or
no,
talking
no,
too
not
much,
at
fine.
all.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
but so they give you like a messaging form that you can fill out, or you can get in touch with a person if you are brave enough. And I messaged and I said, I don't know if we're related or not, because it said it could be a cousin or an aunt. And I said, I don't know if we're related, but this is my story. And she responded very quickly and said, this is a crazy story, but we might be sisters, and this woman might be your mom. Let me check. And it turned out that my birth mother had another daughter and put her up for adoption as well. So we're 2 years apart, and she looks just like me, except for
Is she
has
older than you?
younger. And so I was the oldest, and 2 years later she had my half sister, and she looks like me with blonde hair. And when I saw her picture and when she saw my picture, it was weird. And I'd grown up not knowing anybody that looked like me except for my children. And so it was a blessing. And when I was able to talk to my birth mom, I was able to find out that she did want me, but circumstances didn't allow her to, that she was encouraged to have an abortion, and she knew that life was precious. And so I'm so thankful. I was thankful for her my whole life, because I knew that that was always an option. That's always an option. But she chose life for me, and here I am.
Wow, that's an incredible story.
Right?
You should make your own Lifetime film, girl.
Life mark.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So did your sister have kids?
My half-sister has 12 kids, 10 kids or 12 kids, I can't remember. But we have never met in person, but we have communicated on Facebook, and I get to kind of...
What state does she live in?
Utah.
Oh, not too far.
No, not too far at all.
Oh, wow.
But, and I have, I don't know, 5 or 7 other brothers and sisters through her. Large family. God has really given me a large family. I have 12 brothers and sisters through my mom and dad here. But, so I have quite a large family.
So a couple weeks ago, you take your congregation out to go see the new adoption movie, Life Mark.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then tell me what the reaction was as you were leaving the theater.
So it's a great film. I recommend it to saved and unsaved alike. It's not a political film. It's about life. It's a faith-based film, and it's a true story. But I got up and said, "Oh, that was awesome." And then as we were leaving, I knew that it would hit home with my wife.
Sure.
But at the end of the film, they interview a man who is a head of an organization that helps unmarried moms or pregnant mothers with what they would call, unwanted pregnancies.
Sure.
And I just told Kim, I said, are you okay? I asked her, are you okay? And she said, yeah. And I said, I just know that this is where your heart is. And I had posted the trailer to the movie on our Instagram, and one of you, I don't know who, reached out because I put that we took 45 people, and you reached out and said we're going to go as well. And then you reached back out and asked if we would come on today. This has never been our goal. I didn't even know. I don't listen as much as I want. I had to erase the app on my phone in order to listen to download other things.
You're
And
maxed out on space.
I'm
Sounds
maxed out
like
on
my
space.
phone.
So I've been listening on Thursdays as I used to, because I am not in my car listening to AM radio. But I had one of our members call about 3 months ago, and they said, Pastor, and I said, what? And he said, hey, I'm listening to the radio today, and these ladies are saying that Desert Hill sponsors this radio station. Jessica, Deborah, that was never our intention to get exposure. It was only just
we just love to show gratitude.
Yeah.
Well, we're grateful for you.
It's because you guys are a small piece in the puzzle of how God has helped First Choice to continue to do what we do.
And hopefully it'll be an encouragement to drop into the ears of other Christians and pastors to do the same.
Yeah. And I want to encourage pastors out there. If you give me a second, I want to encourage pastors to give to both the radio station to sponsor this spot, because I still think that it's a viable way to reach the masses, and to give to First Choice Pregnancy Center or services, because it's important. It's very important. I've never been pressured politically by anybody involved, and I wouldn't stand for that. We give out of conviction in the sanctity of life.
Amen.
And children have the right
The
to
most
live.
fundamental cause.
Amen. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, can you tell us how people can find you guys?
Oh yeah, well, Facebook, Desert Hills Baptist Las Vegas on Facebook, Instagram at DHBCLV. Of course, our website, www.deserthillsbaptist.com. And we're located at 4401 South Nellis Boulevard in East Las Vegas. Church has been there since 1963. We have carpet on our ceiling. That's what I tell everybody, because it's insulated like an old barn. But we just love the Lord, and it's a church family. It's
That's
definitely
awesome.
a church family.
That's what matters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us.
what-
Yeah,
today.
thank you guys
what
for
an
coming
honor.
in.
What an
And
honor.
and thanks, Kim, for putting on your braveness. Kim was so nervous about
That was-
this, guys.
that was such
She
an
did a
amazing
phenomenal
story.
job telling her story, though, and I'm
did.
sure that blesses people just to
Yeah.
hear that story, because there's so many stories. I mean, I mentioned it. I was on NPR Monday with two pro-abortion women, as they wanted to be known, not pro-choice.
Yeah, they don't want to be called pro-choice.
Yeah,
anymore.
I
They
was
wanna be
educated the
called
other day.
pro-abortion.
That's crazy.
And the one of them brought up adoption, and they just said, "Oh, it's a hard thing." And I said, "You know, there's over 1 million couples who annually are on a list waiting to adopt a child to create a family, and we murder over 1 million babies here in America every year. So there's no such thing as a child that's not wanted, because there's plenty of people who want those children, and there is a lot of bureaucracy and red tape in foster system that definitely needs to be cleaned up. And it would be nice to see the whole adoption process be a little more feasible for people who are trying to pursue that option. But adoption stories are always beautiful stories to hear, how God gives people families, and how their life has value and meaning, and good wife and family that Scott was able to have as a result of
I just
your
wanna put a
mother
shout-
giving you life.
I'm gonna put a shout out for my mother-in-law,
Yeah.
who adopted her. Because if it wasn't for her, I would not have her. I would not have
That's
my
right.
son or daughter.
right.
Would not have my 3 amazing grandchildren.
That's right.
Yeah.
God is so good. I'm the most blessed man on the planet, because there were 2 women that chose life.
Amen.
Yeah.
So,
It's awesome.
Amen. And the legacy continues.
amen.
Our time's running out, so we're gonna save the story for after the show here, or maybe we'll share it with you next week. But I want to plug the banquet, guys. It is November the 10th at the Westgate. We have Rachel Campos Duffy. She is the weekend anchor for Fox and Friends on the Fox News Channel. We have an incredible night lined up. I just got done meeting with a pastor right before I came to this show, and I was telling him how we were touching on Down syndrome and how that was really the focus of our event that night. And he said, stop. And I said, what? And he said, I have a soft spot for that. And I said, oh, perfect. So he's actually going to tie in with the story, I think, to this event as well. So go to our website, fcpsfriends.org, to get more information on that. Invite your friends. Please help us fill this venue, bring more people in to support what we are doing. We need God's people to join us and really take us to the next level next year in this battle. Jess, you want to hurry up? Whatever you want to close out with.
Thank you for joining Fight for Life. And listeners, if you know of anyone that's in a crisis pregnancy, have them to consider adoption or parenting their child instead of abortion. Send them down to First Choice. We can give them resources.
God bless you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining your ambassadors for the unborn on the Fight for Life radio today and every Thursday on KKVV 1060 AM, the best news radio, the gospel airship.
If you'd like to support the cause of saving unborn babies, or if you have a question you'd like us to answer on the air, go to fcpsfriends.org or call us at 702-294-CARE. Again, that number is 702-294-2273.
On behalf of his little ones, thank you and God bless.